So I've realised that my sad lamp is basically, as you can see in my glasses, a ring light. Good evening. It is not the morning, and it is also not the Saturday. It is Friday evening. And I tried to do a little bit of filming earlier, but was interrupted, which is fine. And I'm gonna turn off my dehumidifier, which just makes a little bit of a noise. I never know whether it transfers or not. But I've been thinking about knitting and about the way that I've been knitting over the past few weeks, the past month, and I've noticed that for the first time in my life I've been really project focused, or like project monogamous. I feel a bit weird applying that word to projects, but I know that that's kind of the lingo, that's what people say. That's what people say about it. I've been very fixated on single projects and interested, perhaps this is more what I'm trying to say, is that I'm interested in the finished object more than I ever have been, which I'm partially enjoying. Shut my door. Basically what I'm trying to say is that I have really been resisting casting on new things. I've been really focusing on what I've been doing, wondering about using up what I've got, and trying to work on projects that I have going. And it's a different kind of feeling about it than I've experienced before, and I'm not sure how I feel about it, whether I like it as a sensation or whether it's something that I want to resist. This, like, so for example, at the moment I'm making the Into the Wood socks by Melody Hoffmann, a classic pattern, really enjoying it, but like I cast on for it this time last week and I'm almost finished with the second sock, which is just like very fast. I think it was with my like sock tube that I was just like, I think that was a project that I like really didn't want to see linger, because I was like enjoying it, but I wasn't like really enjoying it. I was like, the enjoyment was coming from the satisfaction of like not having those scraps anymore, and like that was the enjoyment in the project, whereas I've always really been like a process person. And now I'm trying to like use up my scraps and like only buy yarn for projects. I think what's like not triggering this, I don't know, what's making me think about this like product process. You know, I always consider myself a process knitter, whereas now I'm like making lots of products is the fact that I had been, for the first time ever as well, like using my Ravelry queue and like actually like waiting until like I cast something off and then cast something on and then cast something off and cast something on. So I only had like a few things on the go, but I decided that I want to do the Stephen West MKAL, and it really stressed me out. Like, the fact that I wanted to do this project and I hadn't planned for it, or I hadn't decided it was going to be my next one, but I'm like, I'm gonna go for it. I don't really know what I'm trying to say. I guess I'm trying to like be a little chattier, or like think more critically about what this is that we're doing. But it's late, it's 10 to 8, and maybe this isn't like the best time to be filming this. Yeah, I'm gonna try more of a like vlog style chatting, because I think that maybe part of this like stress, although it doesn't necessarily feel like a stress, but this like kind of energy around knitting is maybe because I'm documenting it more, and that the documenting it more is making me want to finish things in a way that is like regular and that can be like tracked. Like before I started the podcast, but also like before I thought about starting this podcast, like, you know, 2 years ago maybe, I was like such a ripper-outer, a frogger, that's what you call it, frogging. Like, I was never satisfied with the things that I made, and I don't want to go back to that, because I want to be really happy with the stuff that I've made and not be afraid of like making something that's maybe not perfect, but just keeping moving when I can and like making a product and feeling really happy with it. But also, I suppose I like don't want to rip stuff out now, because like what if I've showed it on a podcast and then I rip it out, you know, it's a whip and it doesn't get finished. And I don't want to fall into that trap. I feel like that's something that a lot of podcasters talk about, is the like feeling the need to show something every week and like show something new every time you film. So I suppose what I'm saying is that I've finished, I don't know if I'm saying much at all, but I'm hoping that this will maybe resonate with some of you, or maybe you'll be able to help me figure out how to kind of put better words to what it is that I'm feeling and what's going on about this. But this is all to say that I'm going to try not to keep doing what I'm doing, which is racing through projects, and be more okay with things lingering. Be more okay with starting something if I feel like it and then putting it down for a while, and embracing the slowness of knitting, which I guess is part of why I want to do the MKAL, is because the fact that I'm sure there'll be like funky techniques and colour work and like things that are a little fiddly in there will mean that I'll like have to do it slowly, and that I have to give my whole focus to that thing, rather than at the moment I'm like knitting things that I don't need to really give much attention to and are just popping out a sock, you know? I mean, there's space for that, absolutely, but I want to give myself permission to be slow and to like maybe get it a little wrong and have to tear back and start again. Because I feel like that's an important part of the process. So October is going to be excuse me. So October is going to be a colour work month for me. I've got a colour work jumper that I want to cast on, that I filmed a bit showing the yarn earlier, where I wasn't talking because my flatmate was in, so I just filmed a visual. So I'll show you over this the colours that I'm working with, and I guess maybe I'll talk about it more in like a formal podcast episode, but also maybe I'm just mentioning it in this vlog, and then we'll have to catch up with me wherever I get to the next time that I check in. And so I'm going to cast on that colourwork jumper. It's a Jacqueline C-slack pattern that I'm wanting to do, and I think it's called Star-Crossed. It's like a cropped jumper, and the colourwork's at the bottom, and I've never done anything like that before. And also I'm doing, it's like a purple background, but the like contrasting colour is a colour that changes. It's kind of, it's like a cascade yarn, but it reminds me a little bit of Spin Cycle, although it doesn't have quite as much colour variance. But I thought it was a bit of a cheats Spin Cycle, which obviously, well, not obviously, but which I think is what's used in the original pattern. I'm not sure, or maybe I'm thinking of just the entire pattern library of Andrea Mowry's colourwork stuff. But yeah, I'm making that, and I'm gonna make the Stephen West MKAL. I've never done an MKAL before. I'd only done my first KAL this year, so I'm all just trying a few new things and trying to slow down a little bit. That being said, I will show you the progress that I've made on my second Into the Woods sock. I've got a kind of bright light, it's like a, it's my, it's like I have a very bright eye. It's my kind of sad light for winter, but I've realised that it also works essentially the same as the ring light, but I think it does throw this a little bit, a little bit bright. It's like, I mean, that's quite accurate to the colour, to be honest, but I think if I put it up a little closer it just kind of gets washed out, so you're not getting a great view of it. But this is my Into the Woods sock. This is the second one. As you can see, I'm like not far off finishing. I think I do three tree repeats on the leg, and then I think for my other one it's like 5 tree repeats for the foot, and I'm on 3 at the moment, and that little stitch marker is where I started today, so I've done that much today. So if I do that much tomorrow, I'll probably finish it. Yeah, in my wanting to embrace slowness a little more, I'm not applying it to this project. I do feel like I need to crack through and finish it. I don't know why. I don't know what that urge is. I don't know where that's coming from. It's very new for me. So if you too have ever suddenly been taken over by an intense desire to finish projects quickly, talk to me about it. I don't really know what's going on, and I think I'm going to try and resist it a little bit. My only other project on the needles at the moment is the Berta shawl, which is basically the same as when you last saw it, and I think I am going to be slow on that towards the end. That one I'm not having a problem on being slow because the yarn is just not, well, I was going to say it's not the easiest to work with. It's like fine, but I'm just giving it a little bit of a slow break. I don't love working on the, I think they're 5.5 needles, which is a bit big for me, but that's going to be slow. My colour work's going to be slow. If you're joining in with the MKAL, I'd love to know what colours you've picked. I've ordered mine. I'm doing like kind of one side of the colour wheel for my colours. So I've gone like orange, yellow. Now I've got to remember my colour wheel. It's orange, yellow, green, blue? Yeah, because blue and yellow is green. Blue and yellow is green. So I've got like a kind of pumpkin orange, a like mustard yellow, almost this blue is my blue, and then kind of a like a moss green, and then I've got like a kind of oatmeal, just like a oatmeal-y colour, but those haven't arrived yet. I've just ordered them today, so that should be arriving. Yeah. Something else about the yarn that I'm using for the MKAL is one of the reasons why I was like a little bit unsure about doing it was because I didn't want to spend loads of money on 5 skeins of fingering weight yarn. It's a lot. It's a lot of fingering weight yarn. When I'd like literally just bought a sweater quantity of yarn for the Jacqueline C-Slap pattern that I wanted to make. That was like my planned next pattern. But I used, I think it's called Lovecrafts. It's like a UK website, and they give you 10% off your first order, and then, which is where I got the sweater quantity from. It's like, I got like 10% off that order, and then when you get that order you get like another coupon for 10% off. And I bought it from that website again, and I used, what did I use? I think it's 4 cascade fingering, which is like £8, and then I used another yarn which was like £2 something for 50 grams, so I got 2 of those. So actually the yarn clocked in at under £40, which I felt pretty good about. I think I was like that, yeah. When I saw that I could do it for under £40, I was like, you know what, why not? Why not? Why not? So I got it, and that's going to be arriving soon, and then I'm gonna do that. And yeah, also this weekend I think I'm going to be shopping for yarn for a jumper that I promised a friend that I would make. So I'm having a lot of yarn acquisition, which is maybe that's part of the finishing stress, that I want to finish things before the new yarn arrives. I don't know. I just don't know. It's an interesting thing, this crafting life, and it's interesting how much I can think about this and distract myself from my schoolwork that I'm supposed to be doing. So with that, I'm gonna watch some TV. I'm considering starting Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Never watched it before, so that feels like appropriate 1st of October viewing. And get some sleep, and then maybe do some work tomorrow. Maybe edit this, see what it looks like in the morning, some little nighttime ramblings. Yeah. Gonna leave it there. Bye.